Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fearless Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Lynne, and I am coming to you from Budapest, Hungary. I just landed here today, and we are here. My team is arriving, except Deanna, Constantina, and Puck are arriving any minute now through the door. We are here to be part of Classical Next, which is a global conference for classical musicians. And I will be speaking 3 times in 3 days. So it's a big week, and we are super excited to meet so many incredible people this week. There's a lot of people here that I know from last year. I'm going to be speaking on how to build an authentic community and basically just sharing the story of Fast Forward, which is our monthly membership. But before I jump into that, I just wanted to say that this is going to be a solo episode, and I wanted to come on here for a couple weeks already and share with you guys about my Hyrox, which is like basically an obstacle death race. It's something that I've been training for months, and I wanted to share about what I learned doing this because I thought it was so relatable for our music careers, and there was a few key takeaways that I wanted to share with you that I'd learned. But I found myself putting off recording this episode and just like overthinking and falling into this trap of like scripting it out perfectly and wanting it to make it like a really exciting episode and have, I listen to so many podcasts and how they are super well tailored and curated and they have like their super clear 3 points. And I was kind of agonizing over it. And then at the same time, I'm currently preparing a big chamber music program in Paris in just over 10 days, Rachmaninoff Cello Sonata, which is like super huge and enormous. And it's incredible music, but like I need all my time at the piano. And then at the same time, I'm preparing these 3 appearances that I'm making this week at Classical Next. And so I just feel like my brain is split in a bunch of different directions. And I've been putting off this podcast, and my beautiful, wonderful, fantastic producer, Pokey, is like, dude, I need this episode. And so I realized that I was falling into the perfectionism trap, which is something that I've been fighting my whole life. And for many years, I mean, you guys know why we started the Fearless Artist. I am the one who needed this message more than anyone to be fearless, because fear has such a way of creeping in and having a hold on us sometimes and really affecting the action that we take and the decisions that we make because we hold ourselves back. So here is a very messy, imperfect episode. If it's not for you, I won't be offended. I just know that for me, I have to practice showing up in the middle of mess, because otherwise I keep waiting and putting things off and not taking steps to grow. And then you really miss out, because every time we take a step outside of our comfort zone is another chance to develop and another chance to get better. And I just don't want to keep holding myself back because I'm trying to make it right. So I've got questionable lighting. I didn't curl my hair. I mean, I know most of you guys are listening to this anyway, but like all of these little things are the reasons why we don't do something. And actually, if this is resonating with you, I'd love for you to send me a message just on Instagram and tell me like, what are some of the things that get in your way? I know a lot of people, they'll go to make talking content, for example, and they're like, oh, I don't have makeup on, or I don't look good, or I don't feel good, or they'll go to, post their playing. I mean, I can talk all day about sharing your playing on Instagram and what's good enough. Actually, right now on my Instagram, I'm in the middle of doing this series called Learning to Love the Process. Sounds like I'm on a theme around here. So, for me, I've never been someone who loves the process. I've been someone who really likes when the process is over and I can play the thing, right? But like learning notes, like, please, no thank you. I mean, it's just, I don't enjoy it. I'm not good at puzzles. I'm not good. When you get like a necklace chain and you get a knot in it, or you get a knot in your shoelace, like, and you have to undo the knot. That's what I feel like learning notes is for me. Like, I've never really enjoyed the learning process. I really enjoy getting to play, and I really enjoy when it's in my fingers and I can fly, and I love working out characters or colors, or I love chamber music rehearsals. And so for a long time, I confused like, oh, you don't like learning notes? That must mean that you're not cut out to be a pianist, which is absolute BS, right? But that's like another way that lies can really sneak in. Actually, I've had someone say that to me, and it really got to me, like, oh, practicing is so hard for you. Maybe you're not cut out for this. And so we have to learn to recognize these things are like, actually, that's not true. Like, you cannot like one part of the process and still absolutely love doing what you're doing. Like, not every part of the job is something that you're going to love to do. And I mean, to go on a little bit of a tangent, I've even had friends who are raising kids and they're like, you know what? The 2-year-old phase, not my favorite phase. Do I love my child? I adore my child, but I don't like that 2-year-old phase. I'm really happy when they get to the 3-year-old phase, or some of them don't like the baby phase because they don't sleep at night. And they're like, I'm going to be so glad when the baby phase is over. Does that mean that they hate their kid? No, it doesn't. So do I hate the piano because I don't like learning notes? No, I don't. Anyway, I digress, but I hope that helps someone because I got stuck on that for a long time. So, learning notes. I am learning to be patient, okay, and to enjoy the process. That's what I'm telling myself. So, I've been posting a little clip every day on Instagram, and I like to think that I'm funny. I mean, some of you hopefully agree. And so there's a trend right now on Instagram, and it's like, you think you can hurt me? Well, this thing happened to me. And some people take it really seriously and they trauma dump on Instagram, which is something that I'm personally very against, and I will never do that. And some people like to make jokes. So I'm in the second category. I love to make jokes. So I'm like, you think you can hurt me? I had a wrong note for 20 minutes. Or like, you think you can hurt me? I didn't even realize I wasn't playing legato until I listened back, whatever. Maybe no one is laughing, but I'm laughing. And that's the whole point because I'm trying to learn to love the process. So anyway, I don't even remember why I was telling you this, but the point is I'm in a theme right now of being in process. So that's why I'm doing this podcast. 20 minutes before my team shows up in Budapest. My slides for tomorrow are half done. I have a pretty clear idea of what I want to say. For those of you who are interested, I'm teaching about how to build a community. And if you've been around us longer than 2 seconds, you know about Fast Forward, which is our membership for musicians. And we meet every single month. It's a monthly call on Zoom. There are 3 options because we have people in all different time zones. And we get together and we have a good coaching question and we talk and we're like, what are you dealing with? What are you going through? Because, 3 of the biggest problems that we see in classical music world, isolation, right? People think that people are alone, first of all, once you leave your institution. Usually your institution's like, yeah, see ya. There's no alumni program. There's no process to like follow your career after you finish. It's just like they drop you off the edge of the cliff and they're like, good luck out there. Then we see a lot of scarcity mindset. There's only one spot. There's only one position. There's only one faculty position. Then we see comparison come in because we're all on our phones. So you see everybody else posting the highlights and you start thinking about all the things that they're doing and that you're not doing and you wish that you could and you can't bridge the gap all the time. And then the last thing that we see that I'm going to be talking about tomorrow is the lack of structure and accountability. Basically, freelance life is chaos life, okay? Like your schedule's all over the place. You're running from to and fro. You've got admin, rehearsals, students across the city, random gigs in church basements. Like it's a lot. You can never predict your schedule. You've got unpredictable income, right? So we see these 3 issues: isolation, scarcity mindset, lack of accountability. And that affects a lot of musicians greatly. So what we aim to do by building this community, Fast Forward, was first of all to say, the thing I always said was life is going way too fast. I'm super busy. I'm exhausted. I don't know what I've been doing. And that's a problem because when we don't have time to stop and pause and think, then we can't actually tailor the direction that we're going in. So we love to bring goal setting into this community. That's a big part of what we do. Every 2 weeks, you go into Slack, you write down your goals, and then we work long term. We can look back over the last few months and see where have you been taking action? Where are you spending your time and energy? Are you happy with where that's going? And if not, you can make tweaks, right? Then by being in a community, first of all, you realize that you're not alone. And that's the number one thing people tell us when they come into Fast Forward. They're like, I thought I was the only one. We're like, guess what? You're not. Everyone else, it's not that we're pretending online. I don't think you need to go on bleed online and tell everybody your problems. I think that's for like your inner circle. But the problem is that if you don't know that someone's struggling with something, you think they've got it all together all the time. Right? So that's why I've always aimed to be pretty authentic on my socials so that I can let people in and say like, this is what's actually going on or things that I'm working on, or the whole perfectionism thing is, I started talking about that 6 years ago because that's where I was really stuck. So by letting people in and letting them see what you're dealing with, it can really provide a lot of support. Then the second thing is scarcity mindset. By coming into a community, Deanna and I, as the leaders, we give vision. And we're like, hey, this is what's possible. Welcome. And now that there are so many people in the community, there's 65 people. Everyone's got different careers. Everyone's got different projects. People are sharing. They're learning from one another. They're giving advice. They're giving feedback. They're They're working on their websites. They're asking for headshot feedback or whatever it is, they put it in there. And it gives people this idea of, wow, my career possibilities are so much bigger than what I thought they would be. Because again, scarcity tells you like there's only one way that this is going to work. Either you're a soloist and you fly around playing with orchestras, or you're teaching at a super prestigious school, right? So when you see that there are people with portfolio careers, which is when you can do multiple things, run your teaching studio, maybe have a chamber music series, maybe you're working with a choir, whatever it is. Maybe you also have a non-related music job, like heaven forbid you're good at something else. Maybe you're running social media for another account or whatever it is, right? Like our team, my two girls who work for me, like they're doing a ton of admin work, but they're also studying singing in their university. So we totally believe multiple skills and strengths that support your music career don't have to be directly music related, but they strengthen you overall. So anyway, it gives you vision, it gives you abundance, it shows you that you can create possibilities. You can apply for grants and projects and raise private donor money and like come up with stuff out of nowhere, come up with your own projects. For example, I'm currently working on a four hands sonata that was commissioned by a good friend, Adam Clark, who's writing this piece, has written this piece for Dimitri and I. And we got this funded through the Canada Council. So this is like another example of a project where like, this is just such a richness that we have as artists, that we can come up and conceive ideas and be creative and work with other people and have different people that we're working with. And you're not stuck in this one kind of like office job, 9 to 5, same people for 40 years, right? Like there's so much possibility and there's a richness that we have access to. And then the third thing is accountability and support. So by having these monthly calls, like you have a deadline. So you're like, I'm going to get this thing done by this day. I've got people counting on me. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know if I've got like my personal trainer on the schedule, I do not cancel. Like I love going, first of all, but second of all, like I don't. Or if I have a gym buddy and we're like, hey, we're going to go work out at 8 a.m. I'm there. I'm not canceling on that. So I personally rely a lot on external accountability. I think it's so great, but it's also a lot more fun than having to constantly self-motivate, right? Just using the power of like someone else to encourage and motivate and support you. So that's what we really provide in our Fast Forward community. So I'm going to be talking about that this week, sharing what we've learned. Deanna and I have learned so much. Like we've built it for 4 years now and just keep inviting people. It keeps growing. We doubled actually last year from 30 to over 60, like I had mentioned. We've got workshops every single month. All of it's included. We have guest speakers who come in and do trainings. It's valued at over €1,000 a month. I think 1,100. And we're doing it just for 57 because we really want it to be affordable for musicians. We want people to have access to resources that we never had in school. We're teaching on things like branding, networking, social media, pitching. Our last workshop was next level negotiation with a friend who's also running his own program around this about how to tour as a classical musician. So he teaches business at the University of Toronto. Just really great people around us that we get to bring into the community to keep educating and inspiring. So anyway, that's this week at Classical Next. There you go. I just gave you a little summary of what I'm going to be working on. I also got invited to be the key speaker for a private alumni session. And this is for Reina Sofia in Madrid. It's a big school there, a very wonderful institution. And they're doing an alumni event this week for, I think, 20 of their alumni who are out in the workforce, being awesome, fearless musicians. So I get to work with them for about an hour on Friday. And I'm basically just going to give them like the Fearless Artist package, starting with mindset, because I truly believe that based on our thoughts is what our behavior, like how we determine the actions that we're taking is based on the thoughts that we're believing. So if you don't believe that you can do it, if you don't believe that you're worth putting out there, you're just not going to do it. So starting with that mindset piece is so important. And then doing a small summary around pitching, communication, and maybe how to present yourself professionally, because of course we all have to learn how to do that. Emails. Anyone else? Anyway. Okay, I just would really love to quickly share with you guys what I learned about this Hyrox. I didn't even know what it was. Basically, an obstacle race, you have 8 different stations, and then in between you run a kilometer. And my coach, like my personal trainer, he got super into it because he went to one last year in New York, and he came back and he was like wearing the merch and he was all hyped up about it. And I'm like, dude, you're kind of weird. Like this is not for me. Like I've never been a CrossFit girl. I can't do push-ups very well. Like it's not my thing. But anyway, over time, he introduced me to the different stations, and like I played basketball growing up, so there is an element of like just being super excited with high intensity, high impact, like running around stuff, kind of light something up inside of me. So we started incorporating that into my training. And then over time, again, it took me a while to get to this point. Finally, there was a race that opened up 4 months away, and he had like an early access code because these things sell out really fast. It's kind of like a whole cult. Like they're very expensive tickets to get a ticket to it. But he got an early access. Originally, I thought I was going to do a doubles, which would have eased a lot of the pressure. But anyway, I ended up signing up for a solo. So it was really insane. And I wanted to share this on here because it was really something that I thought I would never be able to do. Like it was so daunting to me, this thing. I was like, that's ridiculous. I don't want to do it. There's one of the stations is 80 burpees. I hate burpees. Like, no, thank you. Right. But thanks to him, he like really, I don't know. I just kind of went with his enthusiasm, I guess. So we worked towards it. And what I noticed was that I was very apprehensive and just kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to do this thing. And I think we were like 2 or 3 weeks out away from the Hyrox. And I said to him again, like, oh, I'm scared. And he was like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, you're going to be fine. Like I've trained you. Like you don't have to go in there and win the thing. Like you can take it easy. You can have a chill time, like play it easy. Like you're going to do it. I was like, I don't know. And I kind of had this kind of, I don't want to say whiny energy, but it was just a little bit like sometimes it's a way that we can protect ourselves by saying, I don't know if I can do it. And so again, a week later, I went to my session again. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Like I'm scared. And he was just like, he started telling me about another one of his clients who was doing it too. And he was saying that she had done one a couple months ago and she was fine and she finished and I was just as in shape as she was and it would be fine. And he said, yeah, but she also has low self-confidence. And this hit me like a brick. I was like, pardon me? Low self-confidence? I don't have low self-confidence. What are you talking about? And it was such a moment. And he was like, well, you keep saying like how nervous and scared you are and that you're not sure if you can do it. And I'm like, I'm Coach Michelle. Like there's no way that the words low self-confidence should be in the same sentence as me. Like for me, that was really a wake-up call. I was like, I've got to change how I'm approaching this thing because that's just not okay. I never want to be associated with having low self-confidence. Like, especially when I'm out here preaching at everybody that you can go and change the world, right? So I was like, ooh, okay, this is interesting feedback. So I started thinking about that. And then of course I realized like what we know from our performing careers is that the same energy, the nervous energy you get before you go on stage is the same part of your brain as being excited. So if you're dealing with stage fright, something you can say is instead of saying, I'm nervous to perform, you start saying, I'm excited to perform. And that shifts something internally. So I started telling myself, I'm excited for this Hyrox. And that really, I mean, it switched something because language is so powerful. And it started to change how I was thinking about it. Then the second thing I did was I did so much visualization. And again, back to our performing career, like we know how important that is to imagine walking out on stage, imagine the audience, imagine the feeling of the room, the wardrobe, the piano, whatever instrument you have, right? So what I started doing is watching a lot of Instagram and TikTok videos of other girls doing the Hyrox. And I studied every station and I watched all their videos that said, these are the mistakes that I made. Don't do this. And then I started making like a strategy. And I don't want to say an exact strategy because again, like my perfectionism will like rear its ugly head and be like, oh, it has to be this. And I get all clenched fists and stuff. And I was like, no, loose strategy. Okay, I'm going to aim kind of for this. I have like a ballpark idea. This is a way that I can be gentle with myself and not push myself into having to prove myself, which I really didn't want to do because like this is supposed to be a hobby. Like it's supposed to be fun. The only reason I'm working out is that I can chase trains and get on stage, right? Also for mental health. It helps me a lot. So started watching all these videos, mistakes other ones are making, having a rough idea of my pacing, started planning my transitions because again, there's 8 stations, so you got to go in and out. You run a kilometer, then you go into like the sled push, for example. Then you run a kilometer, you go into sled pull. So I'm like, okay, what's it going to look like to come out of that ring and go to the station. And like, then he worked with me on my form. So anyway, this kind of gentle preparation. Then I made sure that I was, eating well the week before. I carb loaded, which like, praise God for the carb loading days, because like the day you can eat pasta, so good. I always appreciate that. So anyway, I went into this race and I was thinking I would do an hour and 40 minutes, which is like an okay time. And I crushed this thing. I came out of there 1 hour, 22 minutes. And that's like a really good time. That's not a beginner time. And I could not believe it because I was like, oh my gosh, I actually slayed. The other thing I want to say is when I was watching these TikTok videos, I came across this girl and she was like prancing around in her pink jumpsuit and she was like, I'm a slay. I'm going to slay this Hyrox. And like, there is a very judgmental part of my brain that I'm like, who is this girl? Like, why is she doing that? And then I thought, wait a second, like, why can you not go into life being awesome and just being like, I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to crush this thing. Why do we not give ourselves permission to just show up and shine brightly? Why do we always have to think like, oh, I don't know. And like, I don't want to brag. I don't want to come across as too much. And like, I'm not saying you got to run around and post on your socials that you think you're the best thing ever. But I'm thinking internally, you could walk in there and be like, hey, I'm going to do really well today because I'm trained and I'm ready. Instead of having this, again, like I was saying before, this nervous energy or this uncertainty or insecurity and thinking that that's like the better way to be because you want to be humble. I don't know, like how many of you have also been told, like with us being performing artists, the spotlight is always on you. Like, oh, don't get a big head. Don't think too much of yourself. You're not all that great. Don't think you're better than everyone else. Like I heard that so many times growing up that I think I just embraced being insecure as like the more, I want to say holy way to live, or like the better way, the more respected way, the humble way is to think that you're not worth a lot or something. I mean, there's some kind of mix up there in my head. So I watched this girl in her pink jumpsuit. She's jumping around. She's like, I'm going to slay this thing. And I'm like, okay, what would it look like for me to think like that? Would I give myself permission to think like that? It's not about being arrogant. I really want to make that clear. It's just about like showing up with confidence and not thinking that I have to think that I'm small. So anyway, I ended up crushing this thing. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it because for 4 months I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then I ended up like doing it super well. I'm like, this is a lesson learned because I need to start applying this to everything in my life. Because so many times I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Like even, this week, I know what I'm talking about. Like I built this community with Deanna. We have worked so hard. We've worked so many hours. I've talked to hundreds of musicians. I've asked them, what are you struggling with? I've listened. I've had conversations. I've done coaching trainings. I've done hundreds of hours of coaching. Like I know what I'm doing, but somehow still this default in me is to go in and be like, oh, I don't know. Like, am I going to do a good job? And like, if it's going to be helpful. And I mean, all of that is just a bunch of noise. So anyway, for anyone listening, I just want to give you permission to walk into, conversations confidently and to walk into rooms confidently and to just own who you are and be like, you know what, I'm still in process. I'm still learning, but this is where I'm at today. This is what I have to share. I hope it helps someone. I want to serve my community. I want to serve my musicians and like just keep encouraging everybody to step out and to build a world bigger than you thought was possible, to not hold yourself back, to not be your own ceiling. And this is where I'm at today. And I hope that speaks to someone. And I want to encourage all of you guys to show up to your situations with that confidence too. So yeah, the 3 main things I learned from the Hyrox were, 1, identity shift. I stopped questioning myself. I decided who I am. I'm going to show up. I'm going to crush this thing. 2, I practiced so much visualization that it was like I knew the course. I studied the map. I practiced the transitions. That really helped. And then 3, I trusted the process. And there's the last station of the Hyrox is wall balls, and you have to throw this 4-kilogram ball up in the air 100 times. And I had seen so many videos, and some people were like, this is the worst moment of your life. Like your leg's going to be dead. So I was really hesitant or like apprehensive for that moment. When I got to that station, I mean, I think my basketball days just kicked in. I was like, this is awesome. And I started like throwing this ball. I think I did like 30 reps unbroken before stopping, and I thought I was only gonna be able to do 8 to 10 at a time. So again, just like don't underestimate yourself. Trust the process, show up, do the work, embrace the suck. I mean, I'm thinking of my Rachmaninoff cello sonata, which actually, I mean, my last post about this was that there's a tipping point. There's like always going to be a tipping point where the notes start to come together and you start to see the other side and you're like, oh, I'm going to be able to do this. And I think I'm like 1 or 2 days away from that point, which is really great. But I'm gonna have to do some visualization because I don't have a piano for the next few days. But anyway, I digress. Once again, the chaos of the freelance music life. Yeah, so show up, trust the process. I would love to invite you to a free fast forward call. If you have not been to our community calls yet, come check us out. We are an awesome group of people. I have to say, people are so inspiring. We've got a Slack channel. If you don't know what that is, it's where people can post questions, answers, resources. Everything's recorded. You can always catch up. We've got a little AI guy who timestamps everything so you can search for specific topics. So if you're looking for help with social media, or you're looking for help with pitching, or you want to start a newsletter, or you're inconsistent, or you're uninspired, you can look for any of those topics and different things will pop up that will help you, that will inspire you. You're going to connect with other musicians who know exactly what you're going through. The people around your kitchen table might not understand what it is to be a freelancer, but these people in this community do. And it's going to inspire you to keep building a world bigger than you thought possible. So yeah, I mean, one of the girls in there, she just got nominated for a Juno. She shared a really beautiful post today about how that was something she never could have imagined being part of her career. So it's so incredible to see other musicians share their stories and talk about their possibilities. And it gives you ideas for what you can make of your career too. We want to encourage you to keep dreaming bigger. Of course, if you were at Classical next, reach out to me. Let me know what you thought of the conference. By the time this episode comes out, the conference will be wrapping up. And yeah, if you want to check out a fast forward call, just DM me fast forward. Please share this episode with your friends, anyone that you know who wants to get stronger on stage and maybe in the gym, the 3 lessons that I learned from the Hyrox. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you on the next episode. Be fearless.